Today, we're diving into something pretty mind-bending. The idea that we can use cutting-edge AI to finally understand the grand, repeating cycles of human history.
I mean, think about it. It's the ultimate question, isn't it? Why do civilizations rise and then inevitably fall? From the Roman Empire to today, it's a pattern that has fascinated and terrified us for thousands of years. But what if the answer wasn't just buried in old books, but hidden in plain sight, in the data? Well, a whole new wave of researchers are betting that's exactly where it is. They're using the incredible pattern-finding abilities of AI to search for a kind of hidden logic, a secret geometry, you could say, inside the messy, chaotic story of us. So let's get into how they're doing it. Okay, before we can even talk about history, we have to appreciate just how powerful these AI tools really are. And to do that, we're going to start with biology, where AI is already making sense of the most complex system we know, life itself. Just look at what's happening here. We've got AI like AlphaFold that can predict the tangled, three-dimensional shape of a protein just from its basic chemical sequence. I mean, that's a gigantic leap for understanding diseases. Then you've got other systems sifting through the data from literally 100 million different cells to help us create smarter, more effective drugs. The point is, AI has shown it can find the hidden rules in incredibly complex, chaotic biological systems. And that, of course, leads us to the big what if. If AI can decode our own biology, could it do the same for our societies? Could it actually find the mathematical laws hidden inside the chaos of human history? Well, this very idea is the heart of a brand new science called cliodeomatics. It was dreamed up back in the late 90s by a biologist, of all people, named Peter Turchin. He basically had this wild idea to take the mathematical models he used to study animal populations and point them at human civilization instead. His goal was huge, to use data to actually predict where society is headed. And here's where things get a little spooky. Way back in 2010, Turchin published an article in the famous journal Nature, and in it, he used his models to predict that the United States would hit a massive wave of political and social instability right around the year 2020. And, well, a decade later, that prediction started to look frighteningly accurate. So how on earth did he do that? The secret is that his models aren't trying to predict specific events. Instead, they look for what he calls the deep causes, the big, slow-moving pressures that build up over decades. You can think of it like finding the basic recipe for social collapse. And what's amazing is that his models found the same three key ingredients showing up over and over again across different cultures and centuries. First, you get widespread economic pain for everyday people, things like falling wages and soaring inequality. Second, you get what he calls elite overproduction. That's when you have way too many ambitious, well-educated people fighting over way too few positions of power. And third, the state itself starts to get weaker, running out of money and losing its ability to get things done. Okay, so if the models are the recipe, where do the ingredients, the data, come from? Well, that's the other part of this revolution. Turchin and his colleagues have been building these enormous databases. There's one called Seshat, which is just a massive global history databank. And more recently, there's CrisisDB, which is built specifically to track these periods of instability and their root causes all around the world. Let's use World War I to see how this works in practice. In school, we all learn about the trigger, the assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand. That was the spark. But cliniodynamics shows us the deep causes, the structural pressures that had been building for 50 years. Things like skyrocketing inequality, ferocious competition between the elites of different empires, and states that were becoming fragile. The assassination wasn't the cause. It was just the match that lit a powder keg that was already there. So as you can probably tell, this is way more than just a new tool. It's actually starting to change the very job of being a historian. The old image of one person alone in an archive, poring over dusty books, that's starting to look a little outdated. The history team of the future looks a lot more like a data science team at a tech company. You've got people whose whole job is just to find and enter data. You've got social scientists checking and validating that data. And then you have the traditional historians, the subject matter experts, providing the essential context and making sure the data is interpreted correctly. It's a true fusion of the humanities and data science. And, this revolution in how we look at our own past forces us to ask some really deep, fundamental questions about the tools we're using. I mean, if a machine can find meaningful patterns in the entire story of human civilization, a job we always thought was uniquely human, then what does it even mean to think?
For hundreds of years, our answer to that question came from philosophers like René Descartes. He was totally convinced that the one thing a machine could never do was use language to express complex, abstract thoughts. That, he argued, was our thing.
But now, in a world where AI can write poetry, debate philosophy, and, yes, analyze the deep patterns of history, is that line really so clear anymore? The classic idea that real thought belongs only to humans is, for the first time, truly up for debate. Which leaves us with the final, and maybe the most critical question of all. If this new science really can help us see the hidden patterns that push societies toward crisis, if we can finally understand the recipe for collapse, can we use that knowledge to change the outcome? Can we, for the first time ever, actually see the storm coming and choose a different path? That's the incredible promise and the profound challenge that this new science of history puts right in front of us.